Hello everyone, it's Hannah here from Virtually Fluent. Welcome to today's video, which is a grammar video on 3 really important verbs in English: can, could, and be able to. We're going to look at each of those verbs individually, so we're going to review the forms, positive, negative, etc., and how to use each of those correctly. But most importantly, we're going to put them side by side to see the differences and situations when you may need to use could or be able to instead of can. So let's get started with can, could, and be able to. Before we look at the content of today's video, I would like to point out that we have an online supporting grammar course for this topic if you would like to research this topic further and, more importantly, practice this topic so that you use each of these verbs correctly. I've left the link to the course in the description below. Now, can, could, and be able to are all verbs of ability, so they can be used to express an ability to do something. So let's start off with the most common verb, can. This is a modal verb, which means it must be followed by the bare infinitive form of any verb that you want to use, your action verb. And in the positive, it is can, and in the negative, it is can't. Now, can is used to express an ability to do something, but really important is about a skill. We use it to express you have a particular skill, maybe something that you've been practicing and learning. For example, I can dance, you can speak English. One really important thing to note is that it must be only in the present form, talking about present current abilities. However, can is used in some additional situations. For example, asking for or giving permission. Can I visit my friend? Yes, you can visit your friend. No, you can't visit your friend. It's also used to talk about a possibility of something. For example, can I come to the party? When offering and asking for help, this can also be used. For example, can I help you? Can you open the door for me? And you'll notice here that when offering or asking for help, it tends to be in question form. And finally, when requesting or demanding something, we can also use can. Can you please be quiet? So now let's move on to the verb could, which is very similar because it must also be followed always by the bare infinitive form of the verb. In the positive, it is could, and in the negative, it is couldn't. Now, this is very similar because it's also an ability, a skill. Remember, we spoke about that with the modal verb can. But really importantly is it's a past ability. Think of could effectively as the past form of the modal verb can. For example, I could dance, you could speak English. Similar to can, we can use it to ask for permission, but it is a lot more polite than using can. For example, could I visit my friend? The next situation would be a future possibility, a kind of hypothetical situation when you are offering suggestions. We could visit a friend, or we could go to the cinema. The same as can, it's also used to ask for help, but again, a lot more polite. For example, could you help me? Could you open the door for me? And similar to can, it can also be used for demands or requests, but again, it is a lot more polite. Could you please be quiet? Now, our third verb is be able to, and this is a little bit different because actually, because of the verb to be, it can be used in any tense in English. And that means that that verb to be is the bit that changes according to the subject. I've written the verb be able to here in the present simple tense, but it could be used in any of the tenses. Interestingly though, after that to, you will have the infinitive form of the action verb that you want to place in the sentence. Now, this is also used to talk about an ability, actually in any tense, but this is slightly different because it's not necessarily a skill, but something that has been a success or a failure. So it's a sort of one-off situation. For example, I have been able to learn English. You were given that possibility, that availability, and as a result, I've been successful and learned English. Again, we will be able to go out because we have that possibility, that success or failure in the negative. When we have other verb structures such as modal verbs, other modal verbs, might, may, and other strong verbs like want, for example, then we would also have to use be able to. We can't use can or could. For example, I might be able to help you. I want to be able to help you. So let's put all three of these verbs together so that we can really clearly see the differences and similarities. The key thing really is the tenses in which these three verbs can be used. Can generally talks about present tense, present abilities. Could generally talks about past tense, past abilities, whilst be able to is completely flexible and can be used in any tense in English. Remember that be able to is your only option if you have special verb structures like want to or other modal verbs. Next, remember about what kind of ability you're talking about. Both can and could talk about a skill, whilst be able to is more about a one-off ability and whether something was a success or a failure. The final thing to note there is because of that skill versus success failure explanation, then both can and could would be used for general abilities, general situations, whilst be able to is a little bit more specific. You will see that could can be used for more specific situations, especially in the negative when you're talking about failures. Couldn't can be used as well as be able to, or in the negative form, not be able to. So let's take a look at a couple of example sentences and see if you can choose the right verb. I play the guitar. So when we analyze this sentence, we're talking about, we assume, a present tense situation. Playing the guitar is a musical skill and it's very general, a general ability. Therefore, the verb we're going to use is can. I can play the guitar. Our next sentence is I to get a ticket for the concert yesterday. Now, the first important thing is that this is the past tense because of that time phrase yesterday. Secondly, we're talking about a very specific event, a specific situation, getting tickets to a one-off concert. And in this case, the person was successful. So when we use all of that information, be able to would be our best option, which in the past simple is was able. I was able to get a ticket for the concert yesterday. And our final example is I not, so this is in a negative form, opened the file on my computer yesterday. Again, that key time word yesterday tells us it's the past tense, so that eliminates can as an option. This is again a really specific situation, a one-off event. However, this time because it's negative, it is a failure. Remember I mentioned earlier when talking about a failure, a specific failure event, couldn't is a great alternative to not be able to. So actually here we could use both of those options. I wasn't able to open the file or I couldn't open the file. So that's everything you need to know about can, could, and be able to in English, and hopefully that has clarified those tiny little differences between when each of those verbs can be used. If you would like to learn more about these verbs, practice using these, having a look at some common mistakes learners make with these and how to correct those, native expressions that we use with can, could, and be able to, as well as a whole bunch of self-study activities, online quizzes, games, worksheets that can help you practice this, then you should definitely enroll in our Can, Could, and Be Able To grammar course. It's part of our wider online learning program, so you get immediate access to all the courses on our website. There are hundreds of courses for English grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. You will also get immediate access to all of the new courses that we upload. We have business English courses as well as general English courses, and each of them focus on specific topics in English. So you should definitely check that out. The link is in the description below, not just to this course, but also to our online learning program. If you learned something new today, go ahead and give us a like, a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn notifications on so you know exactly when a new video has been uploaded on English vocabulary, grammar, or pronunciation. That's everything for today. This is Hannah from Virtually Fluent, bringing English to life.